Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. So today I'm going to be showing you the cake pops that I dropped and I wrecked and I managed to salvage. So if you've ever had a moment like that, then I'm sure you can relate to this tutorial. So whenever you're making cake pops, it really doesn't matter what type of cake you're using. I generally use leftover cake tops or leftover cake that I have, and you can see there's really no science or exact measurements to how much filling I add in. Today I'm using a salted caramel because I had a lot of that filling left over, and then I just kind of mush the cake together until I find that it gets to the right texture. Now you might be wondering, what is the right texture? Well, the right texture is just when you can actually roll it into a really nice smooth ball. You want to make sure that you can apply a lot of pressure on it and get it to that place where it's not falling apart and the shape of the ball isn't changing. If you're noticing that once you put the ball down on the pan, it's kind of slumping over, then that means you've added too much filling and you need more cake. So it's always best to hold back on the filling and really check that batter every single time. The biggest mistake that I used to make when I was making cake pops in the beginning was I would just go by a recipe, but a recipe for cake pops never really works because they can never know the exact moisture of your cake, and the moisture of the cake determines how much filling you're going to put in. Now, in terms of what fillings work, I like to use caramels. Those are really great. Ganache works really well. Buttercream is also workable, but I find that it does cause leakage every now and again. So if your buttercream is very, very high in butter, which it should be, then you might deal with some leakage. So I would stick to ganache or some other type of compote or salted caramel. Now I'm just showing you how to roll these. Those ones I'm actually going to use for a different tutorial. We're just going to focus on using these vanilla ones with the salted caramel in them. Now I'm using these really adorable mini cones that I found at my local grocery store. I'm sure they're pretty readily available everywhere. If you need to use the larger cones, of course, you're probably going to want to roll larger cake pops. Now in this instance, you could either use a full cake pop like this, or you can also cut them in half if you want to lessen the amount of cake. But from the people that consumed this, it seemed like they liked the amount of cake that was inside of here. Now, I didn't choose to fill my cones, but I really think a ganache filling would be really yummy in this. I like the idea of the fact that the waffle cone actually helps kind of break down some of that sweetness. Now, if you watched my short, then you probably saw how I had a complete fail with these. I'm using a really nice, high-quality white chocolate, and that actually becomes part of the problem because it doesn't solidify as quickly as candy melts. Candy melts, or melting wafers, they're sometimes referred to as, are my go-to, so this is kind of what I get for trying to be fancy. I end up switching over back to candy melts because I just didn't have time to redo it with the higher quality chocolate. So here we are with the candy melts. I've added in a flavorless oil just to get this really, really nice and smooth. Now you're probably wondering what exactly happened. Well, if you didn't see the short, what happened was I was actually getting these into the fridge so that they would solidify faster, but I ended up bumping myself and then they all fell over and the chocolate was going everywhere. So I kind of had to scrape it off a little bit. You can see the remnants of what was beautiful white chocolate on top of that. And now I'm just going back in and I'm dipping it right into those candy melts. So yes, it is getting an extra dose of chocolate, but it's okay because we've got that higher cake ratio underneath in that cone. So everything worked out. Yes, I did keep experiencing this issue where my little cake ball would fall off. Again, it's because I did not wait for that chocolate to solidify when I dipped it in. So make sure that your little cake ball is very, very secure to the cone before dipping it in. Avoid the mistakes that I've made. Now I'm going in with some melted white candy melts, and again, I mixed it in with a little bit of that flavorless oil. I really want this not to look chunky at all. It's supposed to look like a very organic trip, and then go ahead and put some sprinkles on top. Now, I actually ran into a little bit of issue with this. Surprise, surprise. This is the thing with working with chocolate. It solidifies at very specific temperatures. Now, I'm not really paying attention. I'm not getting my thermometer out and checking the exact temperature of the chocolate. So just kind of gauge it. You'll get better and better at this the more that you do this. Of course, if you're out of practice like I sometimes get because I don't work with chocolate super, super often, then it can happen where things solidify on you a little bit too quickly. The most important thing to remember is that you want to just kind of put the drip on a few cake pops at a time so that the sprinkles will actually actually stick to it, because if you wait too long, it might solidify and then you won't be able to sprinkle them afterwards. I added a 6-lit on top, which is basically a piece of candy-coated chocolate. And of course, I wanted some gold leaf. I kept looking at this thinking, it's missing something. I really wanted to do something a little bit extra with these particular cake pops, but because of all my fails and dropping things, I just had it with the cake pops. I'm sure you've been there. So as I was looking at these, I said to my husband, what can I add to this? And he's like, why are you even thinking about it when you just want to add gold flakes? So that's exactly what I did, and I also added on some edible glitter as well, but more of that spray stuff, not the chunky glitter that I sometimes like to use. Now let's get into the pricing of these cake pops. These are pretty straightforward, and these are something that I would do a stock order for. So $3.25 Canadian each, no minimum order because you would just have them on hand. But of course, if it was a stock order with specific coloring, that would be the price with a dollar minimum implemented. So if you want your desserts featured on this channel, then please follow me at SD Bake Shop on Instagram, where you can either send me a photo or tag me in a photo. Any and all dessert levels are welcome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Speedy fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!